1 2 1 2. I am here with my brother Walt Liquor. We're sitting here at Zoo Labs. This is a Builders and Tines exclusive. You've never seen it like this before. You are about to be entertained. You are about to learn. And this is how we're doing it this year. We're going to kick off the new year and end 2020 better than anything. And we're going to step into 2021 like this. So I want to introduce you guys to my brother Walt Liquor. Walter Taylor, a.k.a. Walt Liquor. What's going on, brother?
Peace. I'm good, bro. Feeling blessed. How are you?
Man, I cannot complain. I'm excited. This interview's been coming a long time, man.
Yep, we've been trying to nail it down for a minute, but, you know, we're going to get to it.
It's been like 20 years in the making, bro.
We got to it.
You know?
Yeah.
And,
yeah, you can say that. You can say
right?
that. You can say that.
So, if you've been sleeping and, you know, I don't know where you come from, you know, Walt Liquor, I could tell you about you. Can you tell some people just a couple of things that you think might be important that they might know you? I mean, they know you. They know you from, you know, Planet Asia, you know, Mixed Practice, you know, Eclipse 427. You know, they know that you discovered producers, you know, Jake One, Super Dave West. They know you did work on Rise soundtrack. I mean, I can, but
all of those things are, you know, they're just, you know, bullet points, right, on the resume. You know, me, I'm a hip hop kid. That's it. You know what I'm saying? It comes from the heart. You know, Bay Area residents, started as a DJ, as a young kid, started at 12 years old, DJing, right? Wanting to be like Jam Master Jay and Kid Capri. I just grew up like everybody else, really like loving hip hop. Not even just about a love for hip hop. It's just what we were and what we did, right? Like, you know, everybody was breakdancing, everybody was listening to or doing the new latest dance, kind of like it is with the kids now. Like that was our spirit and our energy back then. So I'm just, you know, I'm just somebody that loves the music, man. The music has taken me every step of the way. You know, most people would, you know, the people that know me. I don't claim that everybody knows me. I know a lot of people in a lot of places, but you know, most of my work was behind the scenes. But I started as an artist, as a DJ, you know, with groups like Mixed Practice in the Bay Area underground scene of the '90s. You know, legendary scene, you know, of underground artists that just kind of wanted to do it on their own. And me and my group, Mixed Practice, we were one of many of the groups that were out there putting it down and building, you know, a scene. You know, we didn't know that's what we were doing at the time, but that's just what we were doing. So, you know, I came up as a, you know, like I said, started as a DJ, then I became a producer, then I became an artist, then I became an engineer, recording other artists and producing other artists. And then, you know, I had a studio in Oakland for many years, so I recorded lots of West Coast underground hip hop music, you know. And then I worked for a distributor at one point. I worked for TRC, a record distributor, which, you know, sold, it was the largest one-stop record distributor on the West Coast. So, I mean, we sold to everybody from Warehouse and Tower Records to independent spots like, you know, from here to Japan to New Zealand, you know, like that's a whole story in itself. But, you know, I got to push the music. I just had a love for music, and since I was in 4th grade in music, and then, you know, at 18 in music, working in music, but then becoming a talent manager and working with lots of artists. I just always work with lots of artists, you know. Mystic, the artist from Oakland, the first and only female rap artist from the Bay Area to get a Grammy nomination. You know, Planet Asia, another one, legendary, long story career, underground artist, but solid, stay true. You know, you named some of the producers and stuff like that. I feel like I'm just babbling right now. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to
You're not. So I hear on the music.
I don't like to talk about myself that much. I promise.
So how did you? You know, let's go back. Where are you from? Where were you born?
So I'm from the Bay Area, but I grew up in Fremont, California, which is just in between, the same equidistant between Oakland and San Jose. Everybody knows where Oakland's at. About 20 minutes from Oakland, Everybody knows where San Jose's at, Silicon Valley, and I'm 20 minutes from there. So like right in between. My family is from originally down south on both sides, but my mom grew up in East Palo Alto, so that's where we lived at when I was first coming up, and then my pops was from Oakland, so his family and all of that was in Oakland. So I kind of spent a lot of time on both sides, but I grew up, went to high school and all of that in Fremont, California.
What was it growing up like during that era, like the musical environment?
Well, for me, it was hip hop. Like, it's everything that was out and what was kind of like it is now in a sense, I'm sure for cats coming up. But, in our era, it was brand new,
What I meant, like going back to like mom and pops, like in the earlier days, before the music stuff. Like what was like your musical like influences? Like what was it growing up in your household? Was that something that helped develop your taste for music and how you grew in it?
A little bit,
yeah.
right?
Like what was
one thing, I'll say about that. My pops, so we didn't have cable, right? We didn't have cable, so I didn't get Yo MTV Raps and all that type of shit. You know what I'm saying? Before that, my folks listen to all the soul shit like everybody else's folks. You know what I'm saying? Black folks in the 70s listen to Stevie Wonder and Motown and, and then all the 80s shit. Like my family's my dad's record collection specifically was all my early crates. When I started DJing at 12, I had no records but the records that my dad had. I used to tear his shit up. He'll tell you to this day, that how much of his shit I tore up learning how to DJ on his shit, But, so I'll say that my pop's record collection was, again, my first source of digging, finding shit like Chick Corea. He listened to a lot of jazz. My dad liked jazz music, He still to this day listens to, he called me the other day to hit me to a new Wynton Marsalis album that just came out, and was like, man, you got to hear this, man. Y'all stop what you're doing, listen to this. You know what I'm saying? I'm telling you, Walt, you need to hear that. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of jazz, but then he liked hip hop too. He liked all of that. Like, it's funny because, like I said, we didn't have cable. My pops was a firefighter, so he worked in Emeryville Station, and he would record Yo MTV Raps for me on tape and bring it home so I could watch it and keep up with the shit. You know what I'm saying? So I always, the first time I heard a lot of shit was because my pops would bring me these tapes. He knew what was up. He gave me my first Too Short tape. He was like, hey man, don't tell your mom I gave you this, but here, check this out. You know what I'm saying? They put it on, I was like, bitch! I was like, oh shit, what's this? That's my pops. And him and my mom were real supportive of me doing music. They had me do piano lessons when I was a kid, when I was like 6. When I was still in East Palo Alto, they was having me do that shit, And, that's kind of where it started. But then really, like, I was in band and all that shit, like playing saxophone and clarinet. I played clarinet, saxophone, and all the way up into college. So I don't read music currently, but I could. I understand it. At one point I read more fluently, but, music's something that I've just always wanted to do. Like I said, I actually started performing music in 4th grade.
Wow.
And then, say 7th grade or 8th grade is when I started DJing. The era at that time so we moved to Fremont, I started getting, what was the trip about that was Fremont's an extremely diverse area. It's not so diverse at the moment, but at the time, way more diverse than East Palo Alto for sure. You know what I'm saying? And it, just all types of influences, and grew up a lot. I found out about Filipinos moving to Fremont. When I was young, in East Palo Alto we didn't know about that. It was if you were Asian, you were either Chinese or Japanese, and then I met Filipinos coming to Fremont, my homies. But I was confused at first because they was like, I'm Asian, my last name's Hernandez, and I'm dark, and he was darker than me. You know what I'm saying? So I was confused, like, what kind of, but why I bring up my Filipino brothers is because a lot of them they were DJs in my area where I grew up around a lot of Filipinos in the Fremont Union City area, which is part of how I got so into DJing, you know, because it was around me, you know, and the kids I was in school with, their older brothers were DJs. They had equipment and shit like that, you know what I'm saying? So I remember the first 6th grade party where somebody was having a 6th grade party, they were DJing, and the first time they let us get up there at the end of the night and scratch and mix and fuck with the shit, you know? And that was it. It was like, oh yeah, I'm doing this. This is the shit right here. I tell you, I wanted to be Kid Capri and Jam Master Jay. So, you know, and then when they got out of it and they started getting into cars and all that other shit and you know, moving on, they handed down all the shit. You know what I'm saying? So that's how we got into it. And it was, you know, luckily there were some OGs I bought my first turntables from. They used to do all the dances and all the shit. So when I bought the shit from them, they just handed all the gigs down to us. You know what I'm saying? Like it was like that. So and that just led into me having records. So now I'm the producer because I'm the one that I got all the records and the gear to do the shit. You know what I'm saying? So I started making beats and learning how to do that. And it's just always, for me, music has always been, you know, like my number one form of expression personally. Just a way to get everything out of whatever's going on, you know. That's always what it has been for me. So
how'd you make, you know, when people are looking at this, you know, there's a lot of young people who are like, I want to make it, you know, today we have the internet, you know, you can get on the internet, his IG, YouTube, a Bandcamp and make it happen. But what was the driving force for you to come from like Fremont, right?
Right.
You've influenced a lot of space. Well, how did you get out of Fremont? Like, how did you find your way to Oakland or these other areas? Like,
yes. Well, really, it was just a drive to want to be heard and a belief in people needed to hear my shit and our shit, you know, whatever it was. Like, you know, each step that took me higher was fueled by music and a drive to break some kind of barrier with that, right? With what we were building, what we were creating. So, like, and what I mean by that is like, you know, I had to learn how to record. You know what I'm saying? Like, I had to learn how to record because I wanted to make music and I wanted to spit my raps and I wanted people to hear that, right? I wanted to, you know, I wanted to make my tape. You know what I'm saying? So I had to learn how to reproduce my tapes and make covers and do all of that type of shit. I wanted to, you know, we wanted to get our shit into the stores. So we had to figure out how to make one sheets and shit like that. You know what I mean? I wanted to, you know, I wanted my shit on vinyl so the DJs could play it. So I had to figure out how to manufacture vinyl and get a business license and resale license and all this type of stuff. And I mean, you know, before I'm driving, I got a business license and all of this type of stuff. And business cards. I had business cards as a DJ at 12 years old. I was the only kid in junior high getting paid by my school. You know what I'm saying? Like, making money with music, you know? Like, that's the thing that I learned early. I think that's part of it. That's key because as a, you know, 12, 13, 14-year-old kid, I mean, it started at 12 and it just kept going. I got paid to DJ. You know what I'm saying? Like, parents would pay me $50, you know what I'm saying, to come DJ. And I do that maybe, you know, 3-4 times a month. As a junior high school student, I got $200. You know what I'm saying? I'm buying gum and Street Fighter tokens. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's it. You know, playing Afterburner or whatever, you know, like. But I mean, you know, I got checks from my school to DJ all the dances and shit like that. So it was always like, and then you know, they had a underage club in the area called Choices, and I went there one night and they let me on. And they had an old dude that was DJing, and I threw on some shit out of his crate that he didn't even realize he had in there, and everybody went crazy. And then they hired me, and I was DJing in a club before I could drive there. You know what I'm saying? Like, so like every step was kind of like, I want people to hear it, you know. And I just didn't. I was just fearless with it. You know what I mean? Like from getting on a plane. I mean, I had a website of some sort in the early '90s, like or mid '90s, like '95. You know, most people still didn't even really have email yet, but like, you know, I had a website because I wanted people to see my music around the world. Some kids hit me from Finland, you know, and sent me cash money to my PO box, you know, and flew me. You know, they were like, they bought a bunch. We want these tapes. They bought my music. You know, there was a buzz around not just me but the scene, like, you know, and I went to Finland. I went overseas. You know what I'm saying? As a kid, you know, just because I wanted people to hear it. I didn't think about it. I didn't think twice. Because it was hip hop. You know, I'm staying in these dudes' house, these Finnish dudes' house. You know, with their family, their little Finnish family in the whole 9 yards. You know, rolling around on the right side of the road in the snow. You know what I'm saying? Or the left side of the road. But you know what I would say all is just, you know, because I couldn't tell you necessarily what the kids of today should be doing. You know what I mean? You just got to have the drive and don't let anybody tell you that you can't do something. Like, learn it, and it's more so now than ever. Like, I wish we had the technology that is around today. Like, if I wish I had an iPhone in my teenage years. You know what I'm saying? Like, it would have been on. It would have been over.
I remember when you know, I remember when you bought the ASR 10.
Right.
And you made like your first loop.
Mm-hmm.
Like you connected everything, and you was just focused. Like, people trying to get at you. You were just kind of like,
yeah.
And then you made a loop, put that in the car, drove around, felt that vibe,
Right.
and then from that it just kept turning up.
It's still that.
Just kept turning up and kept turning up.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, it's the same thing today. It's the exact same thing. Like, when I make a track or whatever, and I got it, like, even the stuff we were working on today, I'm gonna get it, I'm gonna put it on my phone, listen to it in the car, over and over and over and over. You know, I've just always liked. I believe firmly in the power of music, right? Like, and when I say that, it's like, not the cliche. It's the cliche stuff, like it's the universal language and all of that. But like, I believe nothing sticks to the soul like music. You know what I'm saying? Like it's you know, you hear a song, it could bring back all the feeling, even in your body, the emotions. Like, I'm getting chills just talking about it, thinking about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, songs and melody, like I've used that. I've traveled on melody and beats around the world. You know what I'm saying? If you could imagine that, me floating on music notes to different parts of the world, interacting with all different types of people, you know, just because it was hip hop. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's amazing to me, you know. But I've been on the stage and seen, you know, the 50,000 hands doing this at the same time. Like, that energizes me. You know what I'm saying? That gives me 6 months of life every time I see it. You know what I'm saying? And or that moment when the track comes on and then everybody starts, you know, like, God damn, like, what, oh, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, the next start, like, like, I love that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I love the creativity that goes into it. I love seeing artists, you know, start with nothing. I've seen it so many times. Like, you know, cats with nothing create these, you know, these masterpieces and have them change their lives and everybody's lives around it. I've seen how a song can do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I just like making music, and I like watching people make music. I like, you know, I believe in the true power of it. I learned everything I know through music somehow. You know what I'm saying? Like, if it wasn't like, you know, I learned business because I wanted to sell music. You know, I read contracts because I wanted to, you know, make deals around music. You know, I learned, you know, all that business, and, you know, I'm an entrepreneur. Like, all of that is because I kept wanting to get my stuff further, you know. And if I feel like it's important to have that type of drive to keep going. You know, it's got to be. This is all about wherever I'm at right now, and wherever I wind up, and wherever I've been, and all of that. it's been driven because I love music. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then for the good, the bad, or whatever. Like, it's that's just purely what it is. You know, and that's what it. If you got, I feel like you have to have that because I do this for nothing. You know what I'm saying? That's my point I'm trying to make. I think it's like I would do this for nothing, just because, you know, and I've done it for nothing. I've done it for a lot, and I've done it for nothing. And it's even the times when I've had nothing, it was I could make slap and drive around and feel good about myself. You know what I'm saying? Because it could be every, you know, and I've been to that point where it was all bad, but then I could let it out in some music and it's out. You know what I'm saying? It's therapeutic it can be therapeutic for me. It's very therapeutic for me. That just kept me alive, and it could also have that effect for others. You know, and nothing introduce you know, they introduce everything to you with music. Everything gets introduced to you with music somehow, even if it's a commercial of toothpaste or something. Like, there's a jingle that goes along with that's attaching to your soul. You know what I'm saying? And people, you know, every not everybody understands that part of it. I do. I get it. And I'm like, you know, I feel like my calling is to use my art and the art of those that I work with, you know, to put the right vibration into there, you know, personally. That's what I do it for, you know. The bags and all of that shit is great, but like, it's the bags come to me from the burst of positive energy.
So I've never asked you this question, and you know me for a minute. What do you like if you had to choose, rapping, DJing, or producing?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Probably producing. I would say producing. If I had to do, of the three, and here's why. I'm not really hungry for the spotlight, right? So the rapping, I can rap, and I can rap, right? But like, I'm not hungry for the spotlight like that. That's a certain thing. You know, you got a hunger for that shit. That's who the real stars are. They got hunger for that shit. I don't like, you don't got to hear me talk that much. You know what I'm saying? So I like the producing. Well, the DJing is cool too. I fuck with the DJing. I mean, again, that's my first shit, right? Like, I love it. But the producing I like because I love the composition. It's the bed of the shit. You know what I'm saying? Especially like, I'm a hip hop chop the sample type of dude. I love a good chop and screwed and sliced and diced, and you know, then you know, and then at that point you got half the record. That's the other part of it, economics. You know what I'm saying? Because the producer gets half. You know what I'm saying? So I'm on that too. But I just like, you know, I like taking something and making a slap out of it. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's the only way I can describe it. Like, people that make music, you know, making a slap, making a dope beat, like, that's what hip hop is the bed of it is that you taking something, maybe you've taken something that's new, maybe you've just created some total new sounds and some new shit, but, you know, it just makes people, like, start moving in unison like that. That's the shit, you know, when it comes to making music. And I've just, from the first time I heard it to this very day, you know, it actually does something for me, you know. And inside of me, music keeps me going.
So how did? Well, actually, I'm not gonna say how. I've watched it, and this is funny because I'm asking you questions that like that I know.
Right.
But I think it's really dope because it allows me to look at things a different way. Mm-hmm. So how did you? You know, I remember going to LA with you when we were like 16,
right.
17.
Right.
You know, meeting.
Right. How about that?
You know, people in LA, Mike, Karen, and
right.
And what's the other brother's name?
Bogart.
Evan Bogart.
Trugman.
So tell me about let's talk about that. A lot of people
that's a dope story.
I want to talk about. I want you to share like the whole, you know, when you're in LA, that whole.
That's a dope story.
Yeah.
So I tell people that all the time. Like, yo, as soon as I got my license, I was driving to LA trying to get a record deal. Like, that's who I was, right? Like, and you know, bless my folks for letting me do it, right? But okay, so I'll try to make a long story short, short story longer. So there was an album that came out, Volume 10. The album that had Pistol Grip Pump on it and all of that. I love that album so much that and I hadn't heard anything like it at that time, and I was just like, man, this is the best album ever. Like, I want to call this dude and tell him how good this album is. So there was I didn't I looked on the back of the album. There was a number to the label and everything on the back of the package. So I called the number and was like, hey, can I speak to Volume 10? And just like that, like the lady started laughing and she was like, oh, honey, he's not here. Like, he doesn't work. I was like, oh, okay, well, I just really like this album, right? They're like, okay, well, hold on a second. They put me through to the A&R, which was a guy named Adrian Miller. So Adrian he gets on the phone like, yeah, what's up? I was like, yeah, Volume 10, this album is great. I just wanted to tell you, he starts cracking up. He's like, oh man, that's tight. Well, look, hey man, the artists don't live here or work here. Like, this is the label, So, but check this out. He was like, I like that you called here like that. I'm gonna hook you up with my intern, and he's gonna put you on the high school street team. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, oh, he's like, would you down with that? I'll send you records, you get them to your homies and all that. And I was like, oh, hell yeah. Fuck that. I was like, yeah, I want that. So you gonna send me records? He's like, I'm DJing, you gonna send me vinyl? He's like, hell yeah. So I hooked up with the dude, his name was Justin, and he knew about me already. Justin had heard my music because he was into the Bay Area shit. Like, he was like interning and looking for hot shit. So he had heard about me. So he told me that when we got on the line and we started talking, and or he didn't know that right away. But when I told him who I was and all that shit, he was like, "Oh shit, blah blah blah." So we had the same equipment, so we just hit it off. So much so that I was like, "Yo, I'm trying to come down there and get a deal. Can you introduce me to anybody?" So he's like, "Yeah, fucking come down." So I go down there. That's when you and Qua and Dre came, and we rode down there and I met all the kids at Beverly Hills High School on vacation.
Down the street from it, right?
It was right. We were right in Beverly Hills. That was my first time going to Beverly Hills. Like, I had no idea what was going on down there. You know what I'm saying? So we met just all of these kids that were interns and all, that wound up coming up and being some of the top cats in the business. It's just, some of it was destined for them, like this lineage. But it was a trip to meet them then, and I'm going to their little parties, and they're wilding. I'm from the Bay. Like, everything going down here is tripping me out. It was like different strokes. Like, y'all is wild. Like, you know what I'm saying? But it was cool, and I made some good connections early on, and formed business relationships with some of them down the line, and we've done things, and it's crazy. Like, to this day, a lot of them I could just I just call them and, hey man, we got to do this. Okay, cool, let's go. You know what I'm saying?
That's dope. Mm-hmm. So how did the you guys hanging around? How did Bat Management form?
So, Bat Management was a management company I had, down in L.A. with my partner, Evan Bogart. So the BAT stood for Bogart and Taylor, right? Evan I met, I believe, on that first trip when we went down there. And, he was rapping. They were all rapping and making beats. This is when Alchemist was young. He was around there, and it was just a whole scene, you know what I'm saying? So it was like I met Evan. He was at home, and we just clicked up. He was cool. This dude's pops was everybody's pops was something huge. You know what I'm saying? Like, something huge. Like, his dad was Neil Bogart, who ran Casablanca Records. Not that necessarily mattered, but this is a trip, right? So we hit it off. We did the songs together, you know what I mean? And then he was rapping back then, and this dude Mike Kieran produced a song that we did, and Justin over here did a song, and we kind of kept in touch, and then down the line when I got Asia, when I started working with Planet Asia, you know, that was the first time I felt like I got something I could actually do something with. So I called Evan, you know, because Evan had just been involved with discovering Eminem and all type of shit, you know. So I called him. It's like, hey man, I think I got something, you know, special with this dude here. Can you, you know, maybe play it for somebody? So he loved it. Got it in the right hands. Got Tom Wally to listen to it, and then got the, you know, it was like we were flying to L.A. the next week. You know what I mean, to strike a deal. So me and Ev at that point was like, okay, let's work on this together. You know what I'm saying? Like it's all good. You know, and we rocked for a few years like that. Out the back of his house, his pool house. You know what I'm saying? In Beverly Hills, it was a trip, bro. It was like, I would say it was like different strokes. You know what I mean? Like it was wild, bro.
I went in that pool house once.
You went to the pool house?
Yeah, pool house.
Yeah, it was dope.
It's better than most people's houses would ever be.
Bro, they had to move all of the Kiss and Donna Summer plaques out of the fucking pool house. They had to clear out the fucking Kiss pinball machine and 8 gold 8 tracks and shit, like just so we could sit back there.
This is like a movie.
And it is. It is. No, I'm doing the movie, bro. My shit is a movie for real. Like, you know, so that, you know, that's so me and Evan link up. You know, Evan's got great connections. I got great talent. He had some great talent, you know, and then we start linking up with other young managers that were out there trying to do it. We were just kids out there trying to do it. We didn't know what the fuck we was doing, honestly, but you know, we had some good. His mom gave us great advice because she used to manage fucking Donna Summer and all of these big acts and stuff like that. But you know, we it was funny because we hooked up with a bunch of other young managers, like, you know, the person who managed Maroon 5, Jordan Feldstein, was our junior partner at the time when we signed it. They weren't even called Maroon 5 at the time, but it was just a trip that, you know, I remember there were nights, you know, as young, you know, 19, 20-year-olds, we would have like 5 or 6 shows on the Sunset Strip going at the same time. You know what I'm saying? Like we'd have Asia and Mystic doing a show, and then, you know, Maroon would be doing a show down at the Roxy, and then, you know, Evan had an act that was at the Viper Room. Like, it was a trip. Like, I mean, yo.
I was at the Whiskey. Who was that? Was that Maroon 5 at the Whiskey? Who performed at the Whiskey at one time?
Might have been. Yeah. Easily.
Because I remember I was at
Whiskey, we were there all the time. But, like, what was I going to say? What's the actor? Jonah Hill.
Yeah.
Jonah Hill was Evan's intern. And he was an intern in our office. Like, Jonah was our intern. I swear, no joke. His older brother is Jordan, who managed Maroon 5. That's his older brother. So he was like, hey, can my brother intern there with you guys? You know what I'm saying? Like, because Jordan was in New York. He's like, man, can you guys just, can you take care of him for us? You know what I'm saying? Wow. He was a kid, bro. He was always hilarious like that. It's fucking hilarious.
Wow.
Fucking hilarious. But I mean, so it was just shit like that though. Like being down there, you know, wrapped up with all of those kids like that. It was a trip, you know. Like it's not where I'm from. So it was always a trip to me how they did their thing.
So yeah, I remember being at Interscope because I was in LA for something, and then I linked up with you, and you was like, yeah, we got the show at the Whiskey, and I heard him talking about some show at the Whiskey, and it was just a weird, surreal situation. Like,
yeah,
damn, my boy, like, damn, we little dudes, and they talking about it in the building, and I mean, you guys made noise. I mean, I think you guys had an office right on the Strip.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, we did. Right.
When you come from Telegraph Avenue,
right.
You know, in the Bay Area, you know, recording tapes and selling them hand to hand and vinyl and doing all that. I mean, we just all looked at that and was like, yo, that's big. That's what you're supposed to do, right?
Yeah.
So after you did the bat management thing, I know you kept dabbling and dipping and moving. How did you get to the phase where we had these producers, these next level producers, like these Super Dave West, these Jake Ones?
Well, that was all part of it. Like, I mean, I really made my name selling tracks, selling beats, and getting beats off the cats, and with producers. Like you said, like Jake One was one of them. Super Dave West was another one. You know, all of a sudden I'm blank on everybody's names, but I used to just move a lot of beats. Like I would, I had my own CD. I would press the CD, and I had the labeler, and it had my logo on it. Like I was always ready, and I was always moving on tour somehow. And I would come across cats and meet new artists, or artists that were working on projects, and I always had a stack of CDs, and people knew me for that. So that's kind of it. And then Planet Asia's always been someone that new producers want to rap on their beats. You know what I'm saying? Like, you want an Asia verse on your joints, because Asia's kind of like the gateway rapper. You know what I'm saying? Like, in a sense, like a lot of people that start with Asia wind up linking up with everybody else and going on to do great stuff. You know what I'm saying? So because of Asia, and then also, Jake or Dave, somebody had mentioned me in an article one time online. So then, ever since then, people send stuff to me. Just always like, and I love, again, like you asked me the question before about which position I would choose. Like, I love producers. Like, you know what I mean? I know what it is to take all of this stuff to build a song that moves people. You know what I'm saying? So I'm into it when somebody's a good producer. It's not just about me and what I do. It's like I like people doing their craft. When somebody can take something and manipulate it and make it, funky and dope. Like, I'm all about that. So that, I guess that's the energy that I put out. Producers always come to me. You know what I'm saying? Because they know I get it and I understand, and I got slapped too. You know what I'm saying? Like, I got slapped too, so I get it. We could talk about it, and I appreciate your slap. You know what I'm saying? Like, your shit is dope too. You know what I mean?
I speak slap.
I speak slap, and I'm ready. Like, and that's my thing. It's the press. I was telling somebody the other day, it's the press play moment, right? Like, along with when they put the hands up, it's just when you press play, and then, like I said, everybody just starts, like, oh shit, they start thinking about all the things they could do, and they start thinking about all the money that's gonna flow and all that type of shit. That's like, those are the best moments, I live for those moments.
That's what's up. What's funny is I respect producers, man, because I've tried to produce myself. That shit is hard as hell.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I've got 2 loops that go hard. You know what I'm saying? Like, I play them all the time, and I'm like,
right, right.
One day it's gonna be on beat.
Right. Right.
I get it though.
Right. I mean, there's been producers like, there's one that comes to mind, my boy Tariq from a group called Comedic Sons that used to be down with us. I just remember the first time I heard him, because he was like me. Like, and not only just the producer, it's the producer rapper is the real one. That's those to me, those like Pete Rock was one of the first, why am I, Dilla is another one, you know what I'm saying? Like, who else? I know I'm blanking on a few.
Did Diamond D producer, right?
Diamond D,
yeah.
Absolutely, that's a good one. Kanye, obviously, but he comes from, all of those guys to me, they come from the maybe not Diamond D. Pete Rock is like a family tree for me.
Yeah. Pete
Rock, Kanye, Q-Tip.
Yep.
Redman, I think Redman produced. Eric Sermon,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? There's more. I mean, shit, Wyclef. You know what I mean? Wyclef. But they're like, the producer rapper is the one to me, the 100%er, the cat that can hold the whole shit. You know what I'm saying? Like that. So I've always had and I do have a thing for producers like that, like just the art of production and crafting the soundscape for people to come and paint the pictures on.
I like that, bro.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, dude. So we can talk about a lot of stuff. I want to ask you, like, what has been some of the most challenging things that you've experienced, like, in the game? Like what I love about you as a person, I mean, as a producer, as a rapper, is that like each time when you have these bursts, like you bring new sounds, right? And as you say, you're always driven to do that. But then in the courses of our our travels and our hustles and all this stuff, sometimes business deals or whatever, like you said, there was bad management, then you move on and you do this. Can you share with us things that you draw strength from, or that you might
I mean, they say the music business is is filled with pimps and hustlers and cutthroats and scallywags, and there's a bad side too. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it's just it's a wild business, and I've been in it. I got in at the tail end of the golden age, right? I told people I got in like the late '90s. That's when I kind of really started getting into the music business, and that's when the bottom was falling out of the business. I'm coming in the door feeling like, hey, I'm finally here. But I was like, why is everybody leaving? Like, what I'm saying? Y'all don't want to stay? Like, what? Where's the party at? You know what I'm saying? Because pack it up, getting out of here. There's charts you can see, just the whole, and it's just now starting to come back up. You know what I'm saying? The hard parts of, it's like everybody goes through, their dark night is what my mentor calls it, right? Michael Axon, and having a dark night in Hollywood isn't an easy thing. You know what I'm saying? Like some people, you learn who's there for you, who's not there for you, and this is a thing that I think everybody goes through. You can go through this in any walk of life, really, but like Hollywood, and the whole the business being built on smoke and mirrors and trickery and all of that type of stuff. It's like it can get pretty rough, you know what I'm saying, out there dealing with that stuff. But you gotta be strong to withstand it, or put yourself back together and come back at it again, if that's what it's like they say, it's not how hard you get knocked down, but how how many times you get back up, right?
Yep.
So fall down 7, get back up 8. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of it's that type of trip, just when you find out you got no real friends in the game type of trip. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You think people are your friends, and they you find out people are using you. I mean, you see it on every behind the music, every 30 for 30. You know what I'm saying? It's the same shit. But nobody thinks that that's what's gonna happen to them really until it happens. You know what I mean? Until the phone stop ringing and all of that, right? And then you get cold.
So it's almost like you have to be able to like reinvent yourself, right?
Absolutely.
Like you have to be able to like take where you're where you came from and where you're at, and just proceed and create a new area, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, it's something I've had to do. I've had to walk away from music and try to do something else, and then bring music back into my life, creatively, because there was I've had different time periods where in the beginning it was all I was a creative, but then there's a whole block of 15 or so years where I went behind the scenes and was business and dropped the creative, which is a whole thing. And so then I get burnt out doing the business, because the business is hell. And I'm like, and not only that, the whole economy crashes and all of that, so everything's just bottomed out. I get into technology and start diversifying my hustle, but then I bring music back into my life at that point, creating again, which is what for me, in the time where I felt like I lost it all and things were bad, for whatever various reasons. It's the music that kept me going, and being able to create for me was a thing, like, and I feel like, again, that's why I started. It was like the power of music that I put out. I went through cancer. Let's put it out there, right? I went through brain cancer, and part of what kept me alive is coming and sitting in the studio and having my mind on something else. That I thoroughly believe that's part of what helped me out. You know what I'm saying? So the album I made at the time was about, because I made an album during that time, and it was about. It's called Internal Dialogue, and it's like the things I had to say to myself to keep myself going to get through the shit that I was going through. You know what I'm saying? Like, I use the power of it I believe in it, so I'm not just the hair club president, nigga. You know what I'm saying? Like, I use the shit myself, my nigga. That's what I'm trying to say. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, look, I saw it myself. I mean, like I remember going to the chemo with you. Right. And we walked in the hospital, and you were like, it was like lit. Like the doctor looked at you, the staff was like, 40 deuce, Walt Liquor, what's up? I mean, and I noticed, and I was amazed because, something like cancer, like when it happens to people, I mean, it's you lose people. We lost Vic, we lost, he had a daughter and all kinds of stuff like that. Mm. So it was just interesting. Not interesting, but you get what I'm saying. Like, mm-hmm. You were over optimistic mm-hmm. in an environment, and it almost seemed like it had a magical effect for people to be over optimistic to make sure you get healthy and help you. Mm-hmm. And how did you get your what's the chemotherapy technician mm-hmm. to sit back and have a discussion about NWA and Ice Cube while you're getting chemo? How was I sitting in the middle? I'm like, This is really in a hospital?
Right.
Why are you getting zapped? And up there talking about who's better.
Right. Okay, so there's a couple things to that. So, like, how I got him like that was, my name, right? Walt Liquor. Once I get you to call me Walt Liquor, and you're like, people are like, hey, I see what you did. People like that name. You know what I'm saying? So once I get to call you Walt, get you to call me Walt Liquor, I can be myself at that point. Because now we're, I'm like, you see that? Yeah. Like, oh, shit, I love it. You know what I'm saying? All right, cool. So now I'm Walt Liquor. I'll be on the radio. I'm doing my thing. You know what I'm saying? So that's one thing. So, but then the whole, experience of the cancer treatments, right? Like, just from the moment I got it, two people came to mind when I got my diagnosis. One is a ninth grade teacher of mine, Spanish teacher named Mr. Berman, and he was the first person that I remember that I dealt with a lot that got cancer, and he died. That nigga died, right? And he died. Not right away, but I saw the whole thing he went through, because he would come and then he couldn't come to work, he couldn't come to school certain days and all that shit, and then he'd be all fucked up, and then eventually the nigga died. God bless him, and then a friend of ours, Mondo, was in my first rap group before you know what I'm saying, before our rap group. My first rap group was with him. He got lymphoma or some type of, I think it was lymphoma that he had right out of high school, right? And I did, like, we kind of separated for a minute, and then the next time I seen him, he was back. Nigga had hair, his shit, Mondo, this nigga Mondo's shit was whipped, you know what I'm saying? And he looked good, like, and I hadn't seen him in years. And the last thing I remember was him, battling cancer, and I asked him how he did it. You know what I'm saying? Like, right then, I was like, how'd you do it? Like, what was it? He's like, bro, positive thinking. He was like, man, positive thinking, Walt. Like, that stuff affects your body. Because he was studying, like, physical therapy or kinesiology or something at the time. And he was like, no, Walt, look, you got to understand, like, that energy is something. He told me that. Wow. So he came to mind, and he had a full head of Farrakhan hair. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was laid. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was like, oh, okay, young dude. He did it. So when I got my diagnosis, those are the first two. I thought about my teacher who died and how his attitude was, and I thought about Mondo and what he told me. So at that moment, it was like, oh, okay, well, fuck cancer. You know what I'm saying? Like, what's popping? You know what I mean? Like, I'm not dying. and I'm not gonna worry about it like that. Like, okay, what do I got to do? I got to switch this and that. Okay, cool. Like, you know, and I wanted the people that I feel the energy. You know what I'm saying? Like, I get energy. I wanted them to feel like, hey, you know, I don't know what we about to do this. You know what I'm saying? Like, we getting this. We getting this out. Like, everybody, Doc, good job, man. Fuck, that shit was tight. I'm a you know what I'm saying? I'm a manager, so I gotta motivate. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that's probably part of what came out. I mean, man, rap artist management is babysitting and psychology. You know what I'm saying? And like, so I'm not babysitting these doctors, but I need them to remember who I am coming through there. They're seeing dozens, hundreds of people that are sick and dying. I'm just one of them. No, I need you to feel good about this. I brought motherfuckers cookies and like all type of shit, like, you know what I'm saying? And just tried to, I wasn't going out. You know what I'm saying? I went on tour during chemo. You know what I'm saying? Like, cause, and that shit was wild. I didn't know if I was coming back or not. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to go rap.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm a rap. Who's to stop me? You know what I'm saying?
Bro, like, I mean, like, seeing it is just like, it's like, I like when I talk to like young
You hella saw it too.
Yeah. I mean, it's true when I talk to people and they're kind of real negative, right? Like,
Right.
Everybody experiences moments where you're like negative.
Sure.
But, it's kind of like, you've got a lot to be thankful for. Like, at any given time. I mean,
Right.
I remember sitting in the room, there was a kid looking super depressed, like he was about to die, and his mom had cancer. Like, and his emotions was just jacked up, and she was messed up, and he was messed up. So, like, doing that, I mean, honestly, I don't know if I told you this. I mean, I don't know if I could have been that strong. Like, I mean, literally, like, he walked in, I mean, and you don't say much, right? As a friend, like, our relationship now as brothers is we're much older, and we're and men, and we communicate. But even growing up, you were it was more like quiet.
Mm-hmm.
And during this situation, I mean, you took it like a champ. I mean, you didn't really say too much. Anybody, I didn't even know you went on tour. Like, if I would have been like, yo, Walt, are you sure?
I went on tour, bro.
But this man lives for the music and was willing to die for the music, and I salute you for that, man. That's why I wanted to get you on this podcast, bro. Do something different than I normally do. Just because, like, I know who you are,
right?
And I know a lot of people know who you are, but more people need to know who you are.
Yeah.
Because you're just a dope dude. You know
Appreciate
what I'm saying?
you.
Like, aside from the plaques on the wall and the companies and the stuff we're gonna talk about, I mean, you're a solid individual that gives to humanity. You know what I'm saying? That's like here to add to the collective rather than take from it.
Yeah.
And I just thought it'd be a good way to end this year off with with this exclusive like this.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you after cancer? What was the process like? What were you doing then? Like, how did you? Did you just jump right back into music, or did you? I mean, I know you did the rebuilding, but how did we get where we are today? Like, what was the movement from?
I mean, it's just a steady at it. You know what I mean? Like, every day, take a step, at least one step towards it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's been yeah, that's it. Like, you know what I mean? Like I'm on this thing right now where, I'm making 300 beats, 300 tracks right now. You know what I'm saying? I'm probably like a third of the way in. But, why my goal of 300 tracks is like, I know in those 300 tracks, like, I already know a couple of them is just out of here. Like, I already done a few hits that I feel like could go. But it only takes one. Like, I've seen it. I've taken the ride. It only takes one, and I just don't know which one it is, right? So it's that type of thing. Like, I'm just constantly, working on new stuff, trying to think of ways to do it. And it's not just music. Like, I'm in the business side of it still with the administration business that we have, like, just helping artists understand what they're doing. Like, my admin business is here to, we call it taking the devil out of the details. Like, just really helping artists understand how to own and what ownership of their masters and of their publishing and all of this stuff means, and why they're losing money and this, that, and the third, like, because nobody else will tell them that. I give that type of information to artists, because I want them to get everything out of it. Like I've had a chance, like since a very early age, to understand you can make money with, creativity, with intellectual property, and I just want everybody. I mean, everybody should be able to do that. With if they want to be creative and if they got good stuff, they should be able to live, and do their thing. So.
What's the name of this company?
It's Fairview MBA, and MBA stands for Music Business Affairs. So Fairview Music Business Affairs is my admin company where we can help artists, and labels and even executives kind of, get the back end copyright management and publishing administration and those things, in metadata management and the important things to help you, manage your royalty stream and get royalties and stuff like that. That's the business side of what I've turned my, all my years of talent management experience into, without wanting to be necessarily managing a bunch of folks anymore, but like, this is my contribution to that, and then on the other side, I'm just making music. I make my music now. I've gotten into music supervision now, which is kind of, which is a trip and a whole new adventure. But it really is a culmination of all the other stuff I've been doing and know how to do.
Man, that's what I'm talking about. So, what music are you supervising, Walt?
So, no, we just started working with Tyler Perry Studios and got our first show coming called All the Queen's Men. That's all I can really say about it at the moment. But, hopefully, not hopefully, it'll be on the air in summer 2021. By the time you see this, whether it's out or it's not, now so you can go check it out. BET Networks, look up All the Queen's Men. So that's our first joint. That's my first joint with Tyler Perry. And it's a cool. I always wanted to be our A&R, at a label or something like that. But this is kind of like A&R for a movie studio, basically, But even, it takes a step further with, composition and the technical side of editing and stuff like that, which I have, which is good. I got some experience with, so it just, being a jack of all trades that I've been, comes in handy with this. It's kind of cool.
I like that. That boy said, I know how to cut, I know how to edit.
Yeah, I mean, and I know how to license too. Not only that, like I not only can I cut all this shit and we can create it, we can cut it, but we can go get the licenses for the shit that you want, the other shit you want. You know what I mean? So it makes sense. It makes sense. I wasn't expecting it, but it's what I've learned. Is that when you're in the right vibration and in the right place and in the right space, waves are being made that you could never imagine.
Man, that's dope.
You know what I mean?
Real talk. So 2021 is upon us, man.
Mm-hmm.
And last time I was in the studio, well, we're in the studio now. I've heard some heat in here, like some heat. Besides the Tyler Perry thing, which is big, is there anything that we should look for? I know the Mystic single just dropped.
Yeah, Mystic is coming, which is dope. The dope thing about the Mystic project is Mystic was one of my, early management clients. Like, and she, again, she got the Grammy nomination. She did, her run was fun as hell. You know what I'm saying? But at that time, I was her manager. So this time, I'm her producer. I'm actually producing the whole project. Which is interesting. It's dope that now that we've kind of come back together, because we haven't really worked together over the last few years, but coming back together, that I'm helping her create this new work in this space, and not even necessarily being her manager, but just helping her create the work. Because on her first album, I produced one song on the Cuts for Luck and Scars for Freedom album, but this time I do the whole thing. A lot of the
It's dope
music she
because
chose, it's a real musical
had started making
project.
years before, like years.
And the music I was making, and when I made the music, I had no idea, like who would use it or what it would be used for. I didn't think, I don't know, because doesn't necessarily sound like everything today. It doesn't really sound like everything today, but the timing of what it is, what's going on now, where the world is, it's perfect. And even just her choosing that music was perfect. I don't think anybody else would have really done it justice, or yeah, nobody else that would have got it. I don't think anybody else would have even heard it to use it the way that she did. You know what I'm saying? So I'm excited about that project. That's gonna give people, especially because they did the whole thing. Me and my man Larry Jazz did it. One of my keyboard players. It's gonna be an introduction to a sound, and I think that once people get it, they're gonna want more of it somewhere. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm hoping for.
You know what? I'm gonna agree with you. I'm a hip hop fan. I'm a music fan. I heard some of the stuff you were kicking up in the studio, next level. I mean, back in the day, I had this. Not back in the day, about 3 years ago. I was like, you know what? The Fugees need to drop a new album, right? Like the world needs the Fugees.
Right.
And then when I heard the Mystic, I was like, the world needs Mystic. I mean, it was just, it's her voice. She has a soothing voice, her presence. She's very intelligent, and she's an MC.
Right.
And so I just think you guys working together in this capacity is actually dope, man. I'm looking forward to hearing that album.
Yeah, thank you.
So when is that dropping?
Next year, 2021. We're just putting the final little touches on it. It's almost done. You know what I'm saying? It's been a long process. Mystic is, she's very focused on her art and how it comes and is presented, and it's a slow cooked meal. You know what I'm saying? It's a slow cooked meal. I mean, she's doing some high flying, very high level intellectual stuff on the music is happening on the side. I mean, she's saving the world and the babies all at the same time. You know what I mean? So it's been a process, that takes time for us to get it to the point where it's going to be released. But we're right at the end, and I think she's gonna come. She's like a Sade kind of thing where. She's gonna come every 5 to 10 years and let y'all have it, and then go and do her thing, and then you're like, and then when she comes back, you're so thankful. You know what I'm saying? Like, it feels like that, and the music has, I've been telling folks it's gonna give you the vibes that, like you mentioned, you said the Fugees, like you're gonna get things that maybe you wish you could get more from Lauren or. More from something like Sade. It's gonna give you Sade vibes. It's gonna give you Portishead vibes, right? Like all of these kind of vibey musical things, because it's a real musical project. And I'm excited. I can't wait for people to hear it, because I feel like for what it's worth, I'll get some mileage out of it too, because people gonna be like, oh, well, who did all that? And then I got another project with it's called Birth of a Revolution, that's coming with my man Brandon Rossi from Atlanta, which is dope. Another really talented cat. He just produced Usher's latest single, Bad Habits. Got his first #1 recently, but he's a talented songwriter, rapper, singer, producer. So we're working together on a project called Birth of a Revolution. That's dope.
Man, this fool, Walt Liquor, 40 Deuce, Eclipse, always keeps winning the tuck. He keeps for the tuck.
Yeah, I got Frank Stickums coming. The Black Jim Morrison project.
Okay.
That shit's fire. I keep telling people I'm gonna Quincy Jones my way out the rest of my life. Like after watching that documentary that he had a couple of years, like a year or two back.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna Quincy Jones it, man. Like I'm gonna be 85. They're like, "Hey, you gonna retire?" He's like, "Retire, fool! I got 5 albums, 2 screenplays, a Broadway, show, and in 6 world tours going right now. Like, what are you talking about? This is what I do. Like, you know what I'm saying? He didn't get, he didn't even get Thriller till he was 50.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, he hit Thriller at 50, yo. You know? So, just more creativity, man. Like, that was my vow a few years ago. It's part of where you asked me, like, how do I get here from where that was, right? It's, I made the vow that I want to put out more creativity and have it bring more back to me.
That's dope, man.
You know what I'm saying? And that's what I'm operating on right now.
Not mad at it, bro.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if people want to follow you, man, I'm about to wrap this up.
Yeah.
Get out of here. It's almost the end of the year.
Yeah.
But if people want to follow you, man, how can they find
At
you?
Walt Liquor, accept no imitations. You know what I mean? At Walt Liquor on Instagram. I'm usually on IG the most, so that's the one. Clubhouse, I'm in all that shit. But usually I get Walt Liquor before anybody else.
There we go. And then for the NBA thing, one more time, because I know these cats need music. It's Fairview NBA.
Oh, FairviewNBA.com.
There we go.
Fairview NBA, Music Business Affairs. Yeah, please. If we just want to help you get your shit straight, so you can own your rights properly and get paid for them.
Bro, I appreciate you, Walt.
Thank you.
I appreciate you for
You
wanting,
too.
to look out for fellow musicians and keep it moving. Keep that torch lit.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, I appreciate this interview, man. And wish you much success in 2021, bro.
Thank you. Peace.
All right,
Builders
peace.
and Titans. Let's do it.
Yes, sir.
All right. Now I gotta get out.